Channels television event.
This is the Channel's television live coverage of the second day of the visit of the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, here from the Hilton Hotel in Abuja, bringing to you all the events live as they happen. As you know, Mr. Ban has actually met yesterday with governors in Nigeria, and the theme of his meeting is sustainable development, just to try to see that development and governance gets to the grassroots and is able to help people to advance and create a greater course for the people of Nigeria, not only Nigeria, but in Africa as a whole. I am Gimba Umar, and over the next 2 hours, we understand that the United Nations Secretary General will be arriving any time from now, and he will be meeting with the business concerns in Nigeria, not only to affect policies that will fashion and remold how business should be handled in Nigeria, but also in Africa. He'll also be looking at, he'll be meeting rather, philanthropists in Africa and in Nigeria, to try to understand how business can be better improved for the growth of the continent of Africa. If you look just right to my side here, that's what the billboard says. The United Nations Secretary General meets Nigerian business and partners, philanthropy leaders. Over the next 40 minutes, they will have an interactive session as well, and they will be looking at ways to improve on the business community in Nigeria. We're going to be talking to Mr. Shamsuddin Usman. He is also a well-known figure in Nigeria. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on Channels Television. Let me begin by asking you, what are your immediate thoughts and your expectations from this meeting?
Well, as you know, the MDGs, when they were launched 15 years ago, were mostly focused on government interventions. The SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, are aimed at bringing all parties on board, the private sector, philanthropic organizations. So actually, what one expects is to hear from Ban Ki-moon the role that he expects the private sector to play in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So that's a key objective that I believe will be achieved by this meeting.
How do you expect this to pan out at the end?
I think it will be very good to mobilize the Nigerian private sector and the development community to see that they have a role to play in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Mr. Shamsuddin Usman, I want to thank you so much indeed.
It's my pleasure.
You just heard from him. The expectations is to find out how the United Nations will partner with business community in Nigeria and to help them to grow. Also joining me in a few minutes is the convener and the organizer of this event today, himself, one of the richest men in Nigeria, Alhaji Aliko Dangote. And he makes his way very quickly to my side here. I want to thank you so much indeed, Alhaji Aliko, for joining us on Channels Television. Yeah, you have organized this show for today, this meeting with one of the most influential men in the world, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations. Yes. What informed this organization?
Well, I think we organized this because, he's visiting Nigeria, as you know, and also for us to discuss how we will actually attain the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Just to tell him what the business and also philanthropy have actually been doing, partnering with government to make sure that we meet up with the goals. It's not that we're sitting down doing nothing. We're doing quite a lot, and it is also good for us to brainstorm with him and tell him exactly what we are doing to lead to that, including climate change.
How does security play a part in the shaping of business in Nigeria? Do you feel that with what we have, the insurgency in the northeast, investors are confident of coming into Nigeria to invest?
Well, they are confident because they believe that this current government is very, very serious about fighting insurgency, and I think it's just a matter of time. And I think this will be history in the next few months, in terms of fighting insurgency. it is difficult to have a country with zero issues. There will be issues. Even after insurgency, there will be poverty, there will be other stuff. But the most important is to work towards eliminating those issues.
I want to thank you so much indeed, Alhaji Aliko Dangote of Dangote Industries.
Thank you very much.
You've also heard from the host. He's going to be doing this with a view to improving the business community in Nigeria and how they can partner with the United Nations to see that even in the face of difficulty like security in the Northeast, they are still able to make progress in advancing the course of business in Nigeria. I'm being joined also by... Please come. Thank you so much indeed.
Oscar Onyema.
Yes, Oscar Onyema. My apologies.
Right.
This must be a good day for you. Being a businessman on the one hand and an entrepreneur. How do you expect this meeting today with the United Nations Secretary General to pan out?
So, as you know, the Nigerian Stock Exchange is a member of the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, which is an initiative that the United Nations is actually sponsoring for major exchanges around the world to incorporate their ecosystem in finding sustainable ways of doing business. So for us here in Africa, things around the environment, governance, and social issues need to be brought right up to the center in the way corporates do business. And so for me, it's really exciting to see that the UN Secretary General is going to help us shine that light on corporate governance, on care for the environment, and on social issues, even from a business perspective. And we do know that businesses that incorporate these principles actually do better financially than businesses that do not.
What will you be telling him, though?
Certainly, we want him to help us make that story loud and clear, to support some of the initiatives that we are all putting in place. We do have appropriate structured...
My apologies.
Yes.